When we think of killers, we imagine men, cold, hardened, and remorseless. But sometimes evil wears lip gloss and a school uniform. These are the girls who crossed the line between innocence and brutality, where jealousy, thrill, and rage turned youth into something unrecognizable. Behind their smiles were secrets darker than anyone imagined. They weren't born monsters. They became them. In this documentary, we uncover the stories of 10 teenage girls whose crimes shocked America. Girls who traded curfews for prison bars and childhood for a lifetime of remorse. This is 10 most evil teen girls in U.S. prisons for murder. Number 1. Alyssa Bustamante, Missouri. Born January 28, 1994. In Cole County, Missouri, Alyssa grew up amid turmoil. Her parents struggled with addiction, leaving her and her siblings in the care of a strict but loving grandmother. To neighbors, she seemed bright and creative, a church-going teenager with a sharp wit. But her private life told another story. Alyssa suffered from depression, self-harm, and a morbid fascination with death. Her notebooks were filled with crosses and graves, hints of a darkness no one understood. On October 21, 2009, that darkness surfaced. Alyssa lured 9-year-old Elizabeth Olton, her neighbor, into nearby woods where she had already dug 2 shallow holes days before. The crime stunned her small town. After the girl went missing, volunteers searched the woods while Alyssa calmly joined in, pretending to help. Within days, investigators uncovered her diary and confession, proof that she had planned everything. At 15, Alyssa was tried as an adult. Prosecutors described her as calculating. The defense pointed to mental illness and childhood trauma. In 2012, she pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and armed criminal action, avoiding a harsher sentence. She received life with parole plus 30 years. Today, Alyssa remains incarcerated at the Women's Eastern Reception Center in Vandalia, Missouri. She will be eligible for parole in her 50s. Her diary, still locked in evidence, remains one of the most chilling windows into adolescent instability. Alyssa's case forced an uncomfortable question. Can someone so young truly understand evil, or does it learn them first? Next, we travel to Texas, where 16-year-old Erin Caffey turned teenage love into tragedy. Number 2. Erin Caffey, Texas. Erin Caffey was born July 27, 1991, in Emory, Texas, the middle child in a devout Christian home. Her father, a youth pastor, and her mother, Penny, raised their children with structure and faith. Erin sang in the church choir and earned good grades. But adolescence brought rebellion. When she began dating an older boy, her parents disapproved, fearing his influence. For Erin, that disapproval became defiance. In March 2008, her world collapsed into violence. During the early hours of the morning, masked intruders entered the Caffey home, leaving devastation behind. Her father, Terry, was shot multiple times but survived. Her mother and 2 younger brothers did not. Investigators quickly found phone records linking Erin to the suspects. Under interrogation, the young men confessed that Erin had orchestrated the attack, wanting freedom from parental control. In court, prosecutors painted her as manipulative. The defense described her as emotionally immature and easily led. Her father, sitting just feet away, did something remarkable. He forgave her. He told reporters forgiveness was the only way to survive the loss. Erin pleaded guilty to capital murder and attempted murder, receiving 2 life sentences plus 25 years, with parole eligibility after 40 years. Her boyfriend received the death penalty, their accomplices life terms. Behind bars, Erin earned her GED and speaks about remorse and spiritual healing. Psychologists now study her case as an example of how adolescent passion, when unchecked, can destroy logic. Her story remains a lesson in the dangers of emotion without restraint. Next, we head to California, where Cynthia Kaufman's devotion to a violent partner led her down a path of fear and fatal loyalty. Number 3. Cynthia Kaufman, California. Born in 1962 in St. Louis, Missouri, Cynthia Kaufman grew up restless but hopeful, dreaming of freedom beyond her modest upbringing. She married young, had a son, and later moved to California for a new start. There she met James Marlowe, a recently released convict whose charm disguised volatility. Their connection was immediate and disastrous. Cynthia's need for protection and Marlowe's hunger for control fused into dependency. By 1986, their relationship had spiraled into a series of crimes across several Western states. When authorities pieced together a trail of abductions and murders, the couple's faces appeared on wanted posters nationwide. They were captured in Arizona after weeks on the run. Kaufman told investigators she had acted under threat, that Marlowe's abuse kept her in fear for her life. Prosecutors saw it differently. She had chosen loyalty over conscience. At trial, expert witnesses debated coercion and control. Could love become a prison? In 1989, both were convicted of multiple murders and sentenced to death. On California's death row, Cynthia became quiet, reading and writing daily. Journalists described her as soft-spoken, reflective, and burdened by remorse. Whether she was victim or willing partner remains debated to this day. Her life behind bars turned into a study of emotional captivity, a reminder that control can wound as deeply as violence. Next, we go back to Nebraska in the 1950s, where 14-year-old Carol Ann Fugate followed her boyfriend into a spree that terrified the nation. Number 4. Carol Ann Fugate, Nebraska. Carol Ann Fugate was born July 30th, 1943, in Lincoln, Nebraska. She was 13 when she met Charles Starkweather, a 19-year-old delivery driver who dreamed of escaping small-town life. To Carol, he was exciting and rebellious. Her parents disapproved, which only deepened her attachment. In January 1958, a series of violent incidents across Nebraska and Wyoming left America stunned. The couple's names appeared on every front page. When police finally captured them, Carol claimed she was a hostage. Investigators doubted her story. Witnesses said she appeared calm and unrestrained. At 17, she was charged as an accessory. The trial became one of the first to question psychological captivity. The prosecution called her a willing participant. The defense said she was a terrified child. She was found guilty and sentenced to life, the youngest woman in Nebraska history to receive it. Carol served 17 years before parole in 1976. She lived quietly afterward, insisting she had been too young and too afraid to run. Her story has inspired decades of debate, films, and books about love, influence, and moral responsibility. Even now, her name represents the blurred line between follower and victim, a reminder of how easily devotion can become destruction. Next to West Virginia, where teenage friendship between three girls turned into a tragedy that redefined the meaning of betrayal. Number 5. Sheila Eddy, West Virginia. Born September 28, 1995 in Morgantown, West Virginia, Sheila Eddy grew up in a supportive home, known for intelligence and confidence. Her closest friends were Rachel Schoaf and Skylar Neese. The trio shared secrets, laughter, and late-night adventures. But beneath their friendship, jealousy brewed. Small arguments, social media feuds, and pride. On July 6, 2012, Skylar slipped out of her window to meet her friends for a drive. She never returned. For months, Sheila and Rachel joined the search, crying on camera and attending vigils. Then half a year later, Rachel confessed, revealing that she and Sheila had planned everything. The motive shocked investigators. They simply didn't like Skylar anymore. It was senseless cruelty born of envy and ego. In 2014, Rachel pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received 30 years. Sheila accepted a plea to first-degree murder, sentenced to life with parole after 15. Skylar's parents turned grief into advocacy, inspiring Skylar's Law, which speeds alerts for missing children. Sheila now lives quietly in prison, her once vibrant life replaced by routine. Her story remains one of the most chilling portraits of adolescent betrayal, a reminder that cruelty can wear the face of friendship. Next, we look at the other half of that same story, Rachel Schoaf, the girl whose conscience eventually broke the silence. Number 6, Rachel Schoaf, West Virginia. Rachel Schoaf was born June 10, 1996 in Morgantown, West Virginia. Bright, driven, and active in her school's theater program. Outgoing but anxious to please, she often felt torn between her faith, her image, and the influence of her closest friend, Sheila Eddy. Together with Skylar Neese, they formed a trio that looked inseparable. Behind the selfies and laughter, resentment grew. Rachel and Sheila competed for attention and control, while Skylar drifted from them. The tension built quietly until it turned lethal. On the night of July 6, 2012, the girls convinced Skylar to sneak out for a drive. They told her it would be just another late-night hangout. Instead, they took her to a remote patch of woods near the Pennsylvania line, where jealousy and teenage rage erupted. Skylar's disappearance triggered a statewide search. Months later, guilt began to crush Rachel. She confessed everything, guiding police to the site where Skylar's remains were found. Her cooperation unraveled the case. At trial, prosecutors described cold planning. The defense cited emotional immaturity and manipulation by Sheila. Rachel pled guilty to second-degree murder and received 30 years, eligible for parole after 10. In a statement, she said, "No apology can ever be enough." Today, she serves her sentence in Lakin Correctional Center, earning college credits and attending counseling programs. Many see her confession as courage, others call it too late. Either way, Rachel's breakdown became the key to justice. Her story is a mirror to Sheila's, proof that conscience can surface even in the darkest friendship. Next, we head to Florida, where 17-year-old Amanda Medina Rodriguez turned teenage conflict at home into a tragedy that stunned her community. Number 7. Amanda Medina Rodriguez, Florida. Amanda Medina Rodriguez was born February 3, 1996, in Kissimmee, Florida. She was known as ambitious and outspoken, often clashing with her mother over independence, grades, and social life. Beneath the arguments lay love, but also exhaustion from years of tension. By 2013, Amanda was living with her mother and younger siblings. A new boyfriend had entered her life, one her mother disapproved of. Texts later revealed daily fights about him. On a spring evening, anger turned to violence. In a confrontation that escalated far beyond control, her mother was killed. The case sent shockwaves through the town. Neighbors who'd watched the pair bicker never imagined such an outcome. Detectives quickly pieced together evidence linking Amanda and her boyfriend to the crime. When arrested, she appeared numb, repeating that she didn't mean for it to happen. Prosecutors charged her as an adult with first-degree murder. During trial, the defense argued years of emotional volatility and pressure. The prosecution emphasized choice and intent. In 2014, she was convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 25 years. In prison, Amanda joined anger management programs and eventually began mentoring other young inmates. Letters to her surviving siblings express regret and a plea for forgiveness. Psychologists often cite her case when teaching about adolescent impulse and domestic conflict, how unprocessed emotion can erupt into irreversible harm. Her story reminds us that behind every headline is a home that once held ordinary love. Next, we move to the Pacific Northwest, where 18-year-old Kimberly Proctor's life and death revealed how technology can magnify cruelty faster than conscience. Number 8. Kimberly Proctor, Washington. Kimberly Proctor was born in 1992 near the Washington-Canada border, a shy, creative girl with a deep love for animals and poetry. Friendly but sometimes lonely, she often sought companionship online. By high school, she had become part of a small group fascinated by dark humor and horror imagery. In March 2010, she vanished on her way to meet friends. Her disappearance triggered an intensive search that ended in heartbreak. Investigators traced digital messages linking her to two teenage classmates. Within days, both confessed to a violent act that left their community reeling. The case drew international attention as one of the first to show how internet chat rooms could feed dangerous fantasies. Prosecutors charged the pair with first-degree murder. Kimberly's parents sat through every hearing, clutching photos of their smiling daughter. In 2011, both offenders were sentenced to life with parole eligibility after 10 years, the maximum allowed for their age. In the years since, Kimberly's name has become a symbol in school programs, promoting empathy and online safety. Though her story began north of the border, its warning resonated across America. Screens can connect hearts or harden them. Next, we go to Illinois, where 16-year-old Sarah Kolb transformed jealousy into one of the Midwest's most infamous teen-on-teen murders. Number 9. Sarah Kolb, Illinois. Sarah Kolb was born March 22, 1988, in East Moline, Illinois. Outgoing and confident, she often drew admiration and resentment from classmates. By high school, she was part of the popular crowd, yet privately struggled with insecurity and the need to control how others saw her. In early 2005, a new student, Adrienne Reynolds, joined the school and quickly caught attention. Friendly and attractive, she was eager to fit in. For a while, she and Sarah became friends, but soon jealousy turned the friendship toxic. Gossip, rumors, and rivalry spread through the halls and online chats. On January 21, 2005, what began as a meeting to talk things out turned fatal. Sarah and two friends confronted Adrienne behind a fast food restaurant. Only one of them would walk away. When Adrienne was reported missing, police questioned Sarah, who calmly denied involvement. It took weeks of investigation before a friend confessed and led officers to the truth. Sarah was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. The trial drew statewide coverage. Prosecutors depicted her as the mastermind. The defense claimed peer pressure and panic. She was convicted and sentenced to 53 years in prison. Sarah's appeals were denied. Now in her 30s, she participates in education programs behind bars, often speaking to at-risk teens through recorded messages about bullying and pride. Her case became a grim lesson in how reputation, jealousy, and rage can merge into catastrophe. Next, we close with the chilling story of 17-year-old Nicole Kaczynskis. a girl who plotted her own mother's death for love. Number 10. Nicole Kasinskas, New Hampshire. Nicole Kasinskas was born in 1979 in Nashua, New Hampshire, a bright, responsible student known for her maturity. But as she approached adulthood, her life took a darker turn. She met Billy Sullivan, a young man who offered excitement she'd never known. When her mother objected to the relationship, Nicole's frustration grew into fury. Over months, she and Billy exchanged hundreds of messages about their future together and about the obstacle standing in their way. In 1996, at age 17, Nicole convinced him that the only way to be free was through violence. On an icy November night, Billy entered the Kaczynskis' home. When it was over, Nicole's mother lay dead, and Nicole's entire future collapsed. Police followed a trail of phone records and confessions that left no doubt about her role. At trial, prosecutors portrayed her as manipulative and controlling. The defense described emotional dependency and naivety. She was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder and sentenced to 45 years to life. Billy received life without parole. In prison, Nicole earned college degrees and became part of outreach programs, warning teens about domestic violence and manipulation. She has expressed remorse, acknowledging that love can turn toxic when it demands destruction. Her case remains one of New England's starkest examples of adolescent obsession overriding morality. Across 10 stories, one thread runs through them all. Each began with youth, promise, and a single irreversible decision. These girls were not born monsters. They were students, daughters, dreamers, until impulse, fear, or blind loyalty pushed them beyond return. Their crimes remind us how fragile the border is between innocence and intent. Every argument, every message, every choice carries weight that youth rarely understands. In their downfall lies a warning to the rest of us. Empathy neglected becomes tragedy repeated. Some of these women will one day walk free, others will grow old behind concrete walls, yet all are frozen in the moment they cross the line. Reminders that evil does not always appear with menace. Sometimes it smiles in a school portrait. This has been 10 Most Evil Teen Girls in U.S. Prisons for Murder, a study of choices, consequences, and the enduring hope that awareness might stop the next tragedy before it begins. Next time, we turn to redemption, the voices of those who survived their own darkness and what it truly means to come back from it.